Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen. Today we're going to make one of my comfort foods. Something that I will make up at the beginning of the week and keep in the fridge so that I can have it for lunch the rest of the week. It stores really well. It's something that you can freeze and it heats up really nicely in the microwave. And I'm not going to dress it up too much. It's just a copycat hamburger helper. Pretty much a cheeseburger flavored copycat hamburger helper. So I've got a pan on the stove and I've got it heated up, and I'm going to put in a pound of medium ground beef. And it's never pretty coming out of the package, is it? So, and these chubs of ground beef are great because they also keep really well in the freezer, and you can have them on hand whenever you need them. And so I'll just break that up with a spoon and we'll start to brown off that beef. And this is also one of those one-pan dishes. All comes together in this pan. So simple. The beef is browning off pretty nicely. So to that, I'm going to add a chopped up onion. Get that in there. And I've got some garlic here, and I'm just going to crush that in as well. And you could chop the garlic up if you want. I'm getting lazier and lazier in my old age, and I kind of like this garlic squeezer thing. So I'll just get that in, get the garlic all in, give this a stir, and keep it browning. Now that the ground beef is browned and the onions have really sort of softened and started to take up some flavor, I'm going to put in the spicing. And so I have some paprika, and I'm going to put that in. And of course, salt and pepper. Now, along with this spicing, I am going to put in some Marmite. You could put in, if you wanted to, instead of Marmite, if you don't like Marmite or you don't want to cook with Marmite, you put in Worcester sauce. Worcester sauce would be really great. Some hot sauce would be fantastic in this. Some mustard. Put in some yellow mustard or some Dijon mustard, some prepared mustard. The acidity from that mustard will be fantastic in this dish. You could put in some pickle juice to bring a little bit of acidity and brightness. That would be fantastic in here as well. There's so many things that you could put in here to sort of flavor this and add another depth. And it's one of those things that you don't have to put them in, but you could put them in, and it would really sort of layer the flavors and experiment with your food. Don't put in a whole lot the first time. Give it a try, see what happens. I'm going to stick to the Marmite this time, although I may put in a little bit of mustard towards the end. So that was some beef stock. And in addition to the beef stock, I'm going to put in a little bit of milk. Not a whole lot, and I'm sort of measuring, but I'm not really measuring. About that much. Now, I'm going to bring this up to a simmer. Okay, that's coming up to a simmer, and I have decided that I am going to put in a scoop of mustard. So we're going to stick that in, get it off the spoon. And to that, I'm going to add some elbow macaroni. Stir that in, get it right into the sauce. And I'm going to put a lid on that. Now, I'm going to turn that down to a simmer, and I'm going to let that go 5-6 minutes before I lift the lid and give it a stir. At that point, I'm going to check and see how much moisture is inside. If it needs a little bit more liquid, I'll add some water or maybe some milk. You could add some beer if you wanted to add a little bit of different flavor. You could add some red wine or white wine if you wanted to bring some brightness and acidity to it. Any liquid would be fine at that point. Don't be beholden to thinking that you need to add more stock if you don't have more stock. While that's going, I'm going to shred some cheddar cheese. Okay, now we'll add the cheese. I'll give that a little bit of a stir. Now, I'm just going to put the lid on this and leave it on the stovetop off and let it sit and come together for probably 10 or 15 minutes before I serve it. let the cheese sort of melt into the sauce, and the sauce will thicken up a little bit, and it'll be good to go. Hey, Jules.
Hey, Glenn. Hey, friends.
Spoon?
Spoon? Fork?
Spoon.
Spoon, fork?
I think a spoon.
Spoon?
I think a spoon because it's cheesy goodness.
Cheesy goodness? Oh, I like cheesy
It's
goodness.
really cheesy goodness. So it's Hamburger Helper. I mean, there's
It actually reminds me of some of the creations we made when we lived in the tent.
Yeah, we lived in a tent for a while. Northern Ontario,
Middle-ish Ontario. And anyway, yeah.
counting trees. And we lived in a tent.
And that's pretty much how it tastes.
Oh, that's so warm and comfortable. I love this. So,
It's pasta and cheese. How can you go wrong?
pasta, cheese, beef. This is a method. Really, this is a method. If you take this base recipe, the meat, the pasta, and the amount of liquid, you can spice it any way you want. And you don't have to use ground beef. You could use Mexican fresh chorizo. You could use
Tofu.
Italian sausages. You could use tofu.
White beans.
White beans would be a good...
I, of course, would add vegetables.
Yes.
What a surprise.
But even so, a can of white beans at the beginning, and fry them up a little bit like you were frying like I fried the ground meat. And treat it as a method that you can spice it any way and you can mix and match your flavors. Don't think that a recipe like this has to be made exactly the way that I made it.
Yeah, there's a crazy version we used to do with like cans of tuna.
Yeah.
Because you could keep a can of tuna at the tent for a week or more.
Okay. So, at home, Hamburger Helper, as easy as the box. And this really didn't take much time. You pretty much watched me make this in real time, except for that last part where I said 15 minutes of sitting with the lid on. So, this is my lunch for the next week.
That's a lot of lunch.
It's a lot of lunch. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.